All right, we're going to call this meeting of the Pikes Peak Library District Board of Trustees to order at 5:03. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, are there any items too late for the agenda? Any items too late for the agenda? All right, and I know, Angela, you're joining us online. Do you have any items too late?
No.
Okay, and I know Aaron's will be joining us a little bit later also online. All right, I have a couple of statements I'm going to read here for a moment and then into some of the other business. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you all for coming to our May PPLD Board of Trustees meeting. Before we begin, I want to let you know about a change to the board's meeting format. We hope this new format will help with the flow of business as it aligns with the meeting format that the City Council of Colorado Springs recently launched. Instead of having just one public comment session for all topics, individuals with comments regarding the items on the meeting's agenda will be invited to speak earlier before the board begins discussion on each item, so right before new business. This will give the trustees an opportunity to hear your views on the topic. All other comments not related to the agenda will be permitted to speak during a 1 hour public comment session after the board addresses its business items. The trustees and PPLD appreciate your desire to make your voices heard, and we value your comments and input. Additionally, please know that because PPLD and the board are still in active litigation related to the non-renewal of the lease for the former Rockman Library, on the advice of counsel, we cannot publicly comment on matters deemed to be related to the litigation. Although PPLD won its motion to dismiss all claims except one, that single claim remains pending and we must wait its resolution before commenting publicly on lawsuit or matters related. Thank you for understanding and for your adherence to these new guidelines. All right, Jeremiah.
That's true.
Okay, so then we'll wait till later in the evening for comments from the commissioner. But I do know we have, so we have two liaisons who are going to be present in this meeting, Commissioner Geithner and Councilmember Hinjum. And I know, Councilmember, you had some updates regarding to the search for a new board member. So if you could just give us an update on that. I think Jeremiah has the microphone. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, board, and thank you for the opportunity to talk. And I will be leaving right after this as I do have another commitment that I need to get to. But I did want to update and let everybody know that this past Monday, that the 4 liaisons, 2 from City Council, 2 from County Commissioner, held our public meeting in which we discussed applicants for the opening on the board. And in that, the result of that process was a 3-to-1 vote to put forward the applicant Kenny Kuni Yuki, I believe is the correct way to say that. And I had put forward John Rubel Henderson. So my vote was actually for John, but because it was a majority vote for Kenny, his name, at least with City Council, I don't know about, I'm sure you'll hear from Commissioner Geithner, how the county will handle this. The next part of the process is to take his name to City Council. This coming Tuesday on May 27th, we will be voting on that appointment. It does require a supermajority vote of City Council and a supermajority vote of the county commissioners to move that forward to your board. So that is what happened on Monday. And the only other thing I would like to report is actually I want to share and thank you very much, Chair Smythe, for reaching out to me with Teona, with your CEO, to meet and talk. We met, was it yesterday or the day before? It was yesterday, wasn't it? I think it was yesterday, at City Hall. And we talked, you actually reached out about the Ruth Holly Library, whose lease is coming up in about 3 years, but intentions to be proactive about what will be happening with that library and relaying to me, given that that is in my district, the importance of keeping that library serving that part of the community. I really very much appreciated your proactivity and your reaching out to have that conversation. So thank you for that. We discussed a number of things related to the library district and also just about continuing to build relationship. I think both with city council, again, my hope would be, can't speak for the commissioners, but with both appointing bodies. We talked about, and I believe we'll be moving forward with having the board do a presentation for city council at some point in the future, just to get more information about your service, who you're serving, how many people you're serving, potentially well, just address what might be misinformation out there about, and just have a conversation about the future of the library district and the importance of the library. I think that would be very useful for city council. And, you know, in reflecting and talking with you, it sort of hit me. I've been on council for 4 years. I'm going into my 5th year. I don't believe we've ever had that presentation. And, you know, neither here nor there, but why not? You know, why not? We appoint representatives for this board. And I think it's important for city council to be aware of, more aware of the work of the library district and to be building those relationships, I think, are important. So we agreed to meet quarterly to keep lines of communication open, and I'm very grateful for that, and think that that's a really good way forward. So thank you for that time, and that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Councilmember Hincham, and I look forward to keeping those lines of communication open with you. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Right. Commissioner Geithner is now online. Okay. So I'd like to invite the commissioner as well to give her update.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. I logged on just a couple minutes late coming from another meeting, so I apologize, and I hope that I'm not repeating too much. I just wanted to give the update that, again, Nancy may have covered some of this around the joint committee meeting on Monday. Really excited to hopefully see this move through both the county commission and the city quickly so that we can fill that position, and just grateful for your patience while we work through that. I think there will be many discussions about that process and the new bylaws of the joint committee and working together. So I look forward to having those conversations, and just want to thank you all for your service. I know that there have been some tumultuous months, and I'm just really grateful and want you to know how much I appreciate your dedication and diligence to making good choices for our community. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're looking forward to getting that vacancy filled. So thanks so much. Right. Now moving into item 4. So I need a motion to enter into executive session. To move into executive session for conference with PPLD's attorney. Can I get a motion?
Board will make a motion to have the board. I'll start over. I make a motion that the board enter into executive session to meet with the Pikes Peak Library District's attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice as authorized by CRS 24-6-402-4B. Second.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we will move into executive session. I believe we're moving into another room. We'll be back when that is concluded. All right, we have moved out of executive session and will then go to correspondence and presentations. Item A, discharge from the community. I just started. Okay.
So we wanted to share with you the correspondence we received from the community members and about actually thanking for the trustees for standing up for readers' rights. So I thought it was important to share, and also some other positive comments that our staff, PPLD, that everybody makes such difference in the community. So I thought it was something nice. And next is, I think, winter reading, right?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Heidi Bouillon. I'm a senior librarian in programming focusing on adults, and we are here to talk about, you guessed it, the Winter Adult Reading Program. So what the program is, it is PPLD's reading program that focuses on adults 18 and over. It runs every year from February through March. This year, we always kind of theme our program. This year, our theme was Color Our World. And participants participate by logging 30 days of reading or activities to earn prizes. We say 30 days because we want to build back that habit of reading in adults. We say that participants should read about 30 minutes or more a day, and then they can participate in any of the activities. They can use a library resource, come to a library program. They can read a new book, a new genre, a new author. They can write a book review about a book that they really liked or didn't like and put it on our website. So we really like to engage participants in other library resources. As a part of this, we put together some special programs and prizes to fit the theme. So when people register, they get one of the Winter Adult Reading Program totes for all of their books that they can take home with them and complete the program. And then when they finish, when they do the 30 days, they get the coveted Winter Adult Reading Program mug. And then this year, we were very, very lucky to have Crumble sponsor 3,000 coupons for us. So reading for a cookie, I don't know, wouldn't participate. Sounds pretty good to me. And a little bit about the why, and this is kind of like our goals as well. Literacy and reading are important no matter how old you are. Studies show that reading for pleasure rates are really going down in the US, and last year only about less than half of US adults read a book for the entire year. We really want to establish that habit of reading with adults and then have them model that to the children in their lives as well. And reading has many benefits even the older that you get. So studies show that people who read as they get older have reduced stress levels. I think use a little bit of that. It improves cognitive function, especially the older that you get, and it increases social engagement. In 2023, the former Surgeon General came out with a study and said that there is a loneliness and social isolation epidemic happening in the country. And a lot of people think maybe this focuses on older adults, but it's really younger adults that are suffering as well. So we like to have programs that really build that community, and we see this program as kind of like a community connector. One of the patron comments I love is, it's great to feel like you are part of something bigger, and we really love that aspect of the program. You can make it all about books, you can make it about activities, but really we want people to find their community at the library, come and use our library resources. And I don't know, for my generation, it's a little bit of nostalgia too. I don't know who did book it, you know, with Pizza Hut. You got pizza, so maybe I'm food motivated for reading. I don't know. But it's really fun bringing that sense of nostalgia back and having these kinds of programs be fun again as you become an adult. So here's what our numbers look like for the past 4 years. You can see our participation has increased pretty greatly over the past 4 years. We're really proud of that. But not only has participation increased, our completion rate has stayed pretty steady, right about 1 year we dropped off a little bit, but right about above 60%. So that means we have, even as we're increasing our registration, people are completing the program as well. So that's really what we want to see, is that 30 days of habit building, getting that reading as an activity. We think that a lot of this has happened because we've made the program really accessible and customizable. So if you want to read for 30 minutes a day, great. If you want to attend a program, great. If you want to read something from a new author, if you want to use a library resource, that's great. We can really have people have a roadmap for people, but they can engage in the program how they like and on many different levels. So if they never want to come into the library until they pick up their prizes, they can do that. But if they want to come and see us every day, they can do that too. So we're really proud to have so many people complete the program. Our programming department has also created, and Krista will talk about this a little more, created and planned really engaging programs that brought in unique presenters, really went with this theme. And it was a group effort on behalf of our programming team and frontline staff to really plan a lot of these programs. I think that our numbers also speak to what our community values, and we have a community that really values reading and literacy and being a part of the library. We also had some increased marketing promotion, so we had some local TV interviews. Our district discovery magazine featured the winter adult reading program, and then we had information on our Libby app. So you can see overall, on average, our participation rates have increased about 18% year over year, and the completion rate has remained steady at about 60%. Now I'm going to hand it off to Krista.
Thank you. I'm Krista Funke, also a senior librarian with the programming department. And this year, as Heidi had mentioned, we provided numerous programs and activities. These were specifically designed to enhance and support the Color Our World theme. And we offered 36 programs that were enjoyed by over 460 people throughout the district. These programs highlighted color through different lenses, such as art and creativity, colorful food, and the colorful history of colorful Colorado. How many times can you say color in one sentence? Programming highlights include local speakers who visited several libraries to discuss topics such as Colorado's urban legends and strange history, and UFOs. So we had Strange Colorado, hosted by local author Aaron Taylor, and UFOs of the Rocky Mountain West, hosted by local speaker Rick Sturdivant. We also offered Birds of the Pikes Peak region, presented by local author Joe LaFleur. The photo on the left is of audience listening to him at Library 21C. And we had several workshops. There was one on color theory from Rush Crazy, and there was multiple on food and nutrition topics from Natural Grocers. And then we also offered creative and educational art and food programs, and we have some photos of those. At the top, you can see all of the ingredients laid out from our tea blending workshop. It focused on different types of tea and let attendees make their own custom blends to take home. And then in the middle, in the middle there we have Drop-In Art. That is a program where patrons could be as creative as they wanted to be, and they could create their own pieces of art. So there's 3 patrons working on their masterpieces. And at the bottom we have a paper marbling, where people are making some cool design paper. And then we also had a thrift store painting program where patrons were able to take pieces of art from thrift stores and add embellishments and personalization to them. So all of these are from one of our thrift store painting programs that patrons added their own personal touches to those. And then communications did an amazing job getting the word out. Besides the wonderful and fun collateral that they made for us, such as our logo that features the Sasquatch, Yetis, Abominable Snowman, Bigfoot. They also did signage. They had lots of information and cover of district discovery, and then those multiple interviews to highlight and promote winter adult reading. And then collection development helped us try something new. There's this new feature called a call to action on Libby and Overdrive, where they put a banner and a sign up for the winter adult reading program that people could click on right there when they're getting their ebooks. So there's a lot of patrons who never use our catalog or our website because they just go straight into Libby, and they could see it there. And so we weren't able to get specific numbers, but it seemed to help with our with our registrations. And then we could not have done any of this without our amazing sponsors, particularly the Friends of the Pikes Peak Library District, who donated funds for the program, and Crumble, who donated over 3,000 coupons for that free dessert item that we were able to offer as our completion prize. Natural Grocers and Brush Crazy also donated items for the grand prizes. So to any of the friends of the library who are here tonight or watching online, we wanted to say thank you. And we also want to say thank you to the staff around the district who tirelessly promoted winter adult reading. They signed patrons up, they logged their reading, they gave them their prizes, and they did so many other things, running programs and just getting the word out in the community. You are the most important part of making WARP successful. We appreciate you, and your patrons do too, as exemplified by this quote from one of our grand prize winners, which not only talks about how exciting it is to win a prize, but talks about how they cannot live without their local library. So thank you so much to our staff.
Right, thank you, Heidi and Krista. Do any board members have questions about winter adult reading program? All right, if no questions, thank you again. Appreciate that update and so excited for the growth of the program. All right, and next, Heather, lastly, Facilities Master Plan Design Guide.
Good evening. So we received the last piece of the Facilities Master Plan on May 1st. Importantly, it was not something we contracted separately. It was a sub-item of the giant, bigger project, which was the Facilities Master Plan, to have the Facilities Design Guide provided to us. It gives us guidelines on what to do, particularly if we do renovations or establish new buildings. We obviously don't have buckets of money running, laying around that we can just go apply all of these to current buildings. But when we do upgrades and updates and things like that, we intend to look at the different suggestions and implement some of those. Best practices and recommendations included things that we already do, including like what they modernly suggest, lower shelving in libraries, which is maybe not what they had as I was a child at least, so that everybody can reach and so it's safer and all this kind of stuff. So they talked about that, meeting spaces, maker spaces, study spaces, looking at incorporating all these different kinds of spaces where we are able and where there is space. So there were lots of things that we already do. Service desk nearing the main entrance. As you know, we've just recently made that adaptation at Penrose Library. So there are things like that are recommended that we were very proud that we already do. That being said, there were also things that we don't do currently that we would love to incorporate in the future that we found really interesting that I thought I would share. Some of those include like that they said that staff areas should be 9 to 13% of the footprint in a library. I know that our board has at least been to some staff areas, and of course at the smaller branches especially, not a lot of elbow room for staff. They have just enough room to process what they have to process and check some email and things like that. But that was something that was surprising to me, was that it was that sizable of a space that you're supposed to aim for when you're developing a space for a library. They also recommended some target sizes, and I thought this was interesting. So for sub-regional branches, they recommended 15 to 25,000 square feet. Okay, so for reference, Sand Creek is about 14,000 square feet. Okay, so their recommendations around sizing is really helpful if the board is ever looking at spaces for future opportunities. Additionally, they said that rural or neighborhood branches should range from around 5,000 to 9,000 square feet and be adaptive to potential low and no staff models, as I know has been discussed and is recommended as ways to expand services while not adding the expensive cost of adding staff. So for that rural neighborhood branch of 5,000 to 9,000 square feet, for reference, High Prairie is about 6,000 square feet. So I know that you've been in more of our current branches, so that gives you an idea of kind of what we'd be looking at for sizing. So again, things we would love to implement. If we could have a drive-up window at every branch, man, we would love that, and the staff would love that. But obviously retrofitting buildings is very difficult. But there were lots of recommendations in there that were really interesting. Lots and lots of task force for Michael Brandner as we look at fixtures, replacing furniture, right? Making sure that things are really flexible, that they're easy to clean. So we've already been doing a lot of that, but there are some things that are really granular to that level of detail as far as best practices in modern libraries. But additionally, like I said, we were really proud to see that balance between things that were like, yep, we do that, we do that, we do that, we do that. And then the list of things that it says, oh, if we had money, we'd love to do that and do that and do that. So it was really interesting. I think that was shared with you, the design guide. Again, it was not a separate additional project. It was just a later delivery date than the rest of the facilities master plan, but it was, you know, paid for and everything back with that. So it was not additional cost that was added separate from the facilities master plan project. So are there any questions about that? Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Heather. Right, so we'll move on to reports. We'll start with internal affairs. Is Aaron online?
Aaron is now online.
Right.
Just right.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Ms. Benson, if you can get the internal affairs. Date.
I am here. I just got here a minute ago, Julie. If you would want to come back to me in 2 seconds, I'll pull up at the list of things that we talked about in internal affairs and come back to it. Okay.
Okay, to public affairs. Did not meet, okay. And then, Angela, I believe you're online as well, governance committee.
Hey, absolutely. I think we got a lot of progress in governments committee working on the bylaws, the deep dive, lots of consensus. We're moving to red lines. My goal and hope is that at the next governments meeting, we can wrap that up, get it to legal and get it to the board by June for a vote.
Right,
So
great. Thank you. All right. And then, are we ready for internal affairs?
We are. Sorry about that. I had to go over to my phone. It's always fun doing this on your phone versus like a computer. Okay, we did meet. We met last week, so a week late, and we just talked over one resolution. I guess actually 2 resolutions that we're going to look at tonight for vote, and we'll, I believe, sorry, I can't see very well. I think we're going to hear from Kim tonight about those instead of Randy. And that was really it.
All right, thank you so much. Now we'll move on to item D, trustee comments pertaining to engagement with the district or with the community on behalf of the district.
I have the mic, so we'll start.
Great, thanks, Debbie.
I attended the food industry training graduation, which I just love. And it's such an incredible program that we do. And talking to the graduates who are so proud of the work that they've done. And when you look at the slideshow and you see all the stuff that they have to learn in order to get their serve safe manager serve safe certification so that they can really move into the hospitality industry. It was great. And I had one of the audience members come up to me, and she didn't point out which graduate she was talking about, but she told me, I just want to thank you all for supporting this program because it gives him a second chance to find something in his life that he's passionate about. And I mean, that's why we do that program. And I asked another participant, what was your favorite part? And he said, well, it was just being with people who care about the same things I care about. I don't have that all the time. And so to find this group of people that you meet with all of those days and spend all those hours with is just such a great experience that they'll carry forward. So I'm just so impressed with the program and everybody that runs it. So I know you're surprised to hear that.
I don't really have anything.
Right, any other trustee comments?
All right, I do have some. I did meet with the foundation and we did go over the MOU in kind of in detail. We made a few changes. I believe that we're pretty close to getting that I don't want to say finalized, but getting it to a state where the foundation as a board will be able to review and discuss and hopefully vote on it. I think that the next thing, we also talked a little bit about the foundation bylaws, although we didn't get into specifics about it, but it does correspond with a lot of the items that are in the MOU as well. So we just have to make sure that they're very consistent between the two documents. So that was it. That was really it.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I also met with Nadine Hensler, the president of Foundation. I also spoke with two council members who have served as our liaisons for the last, I guess, 2 years now. So I had conversations with them as well, just on district needs and things like that as we're looking to the future. And then I also had the privilege of attending the staff appreciation breakfast, which was, I believe, last Friday. So it was great to be there and just see some of the staff just getting recognized for many, many years of service. I think there was one staff member, and Tana will remember the name, Lisa Thomas, that's right, who was retiring after, I believe it was 34 years with the 38 years with the district. Yeah, so she's achieved so much during her time that they actually named an award after her, and she was the first one to receive it. So kudos to her and congratulations on her retirement. So, but it was so great to see so many members of the PPLD family who had been just dedicated for so long, to see their excitement and be able to recognize them was great. So grateful that we volunteer with an organization that recognizes its employees, and grateful for the service and that all of y'all bring to the community. So thank you to the staff again. Great. And are there any trustee comments from online? All right, if not, then we'll go ahead and move on to Friends of the Pikes Peak Library District Report. Rita Jordan.
Good evening. So following the winter reading program, not to say how long you guys were in your executive session, but I was reading a book while so I think I can check off my 30 minutes for the day. I don't really have anything to add for the report because we are focused on our premier event, which is the Literary Awards luncheon, which is happening on Saturday, June 7th at the DoubleTree by Hilton. So what book was I reading while you guys were in executive session? I was reading Celine by Peter Heller. That's what is important. Peter Heller is the recipient of the Frank Waters Award, and he will be the keynote speaker. And so I have not heard Peter Heller talk, but Brian mentioned at the Mountain of Authors that Peter Heller was a speaker about 10 years ago for the Mountain of Authors. And he said, I am so excited. I am waiting to hear from him because he said he was such a great speaker. So the Frank Waters Award is for a Western writer. So Arizona, Wyoming, New Mexico, Colorado, who we feel exemplary literary excellence and who models the culture of the West and sort of that's in his writing. And if anybody has read Peter Heller, he's easy to read, very easy to read. Talks about kayaking, fly fishing, everything. So this is like the fourth book I've read of his in preparation for the awards ceremony. We also will be recognizing the Golden Quill recipients, and they are a father and son team who wrote Cheyenne Mountain. And I know there are a lot of books out about Cheyenne Mountain, but they really covered the whole history and had maps and topographical maps and talk about how the Broadmoor came in, how the antennas went up on Cheyenne Mountain. That's what I really think of when I think of Cheyenne Mountain, the antennas. And so it's a wonderful, you know, it could almost be a coffee table book. because it covers all of that, PJ and Patrick Anderson. So we're about 10 days out, week and a half out, 2 weeks actually, 2 weeks out. And we still have tickets, but they are going fast. I would like to thank PPLD has purchased a table, so has the foundation. Thank you. And
It was personal.
oh, it was personal.
Do personal.
Oh, well, thank you too, because I bought a personal table and the friends bought a personal table. Right, okay, thank you. Okay. But you're inviting PPLD folks.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Nice.
thank you, yes. Oh, I guess with all budgets, that would be, might say something, okay. I know, I have a weird, Courtney said, you have a weird sense of humor. So, anyway, that's, we're still looking forward to having folks be able to sign up. We still have room and everything. And just so you know, we get wonderful opportunities to make pitches because on Friday morning on Fox TV, that local, live local, where I'm going to do a 5-minute pitch on the literary awards. So I'll try and tone down my humor for that. Okay, won't do anything crazy. I'll really be serious about this. But thank you. We just love supporting PPLD and everything it does. And so we also thank PPLD for everything that they do to help support us in our various branches with our shelves and our bookstores. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, we will move then to the Pikes Peak Library District Foundation report. Courtney Bailey. I don't know if I need to make a formal request to change the agenda next time so I don't have to follow Rita. She's a hard act to follow. But I just want to give a quick update on Library Giving Day. I know we're tired of hearing about it probably at this point. But I do want to point out we did fall a little short of where we were this day last year by $1,100. However, we did increase our recurring gifts by $5,834. So we're going to get that through the year. So that's pretty impressive. And we're strategically going to reach out to those donors, find out, what changed, because those recurring donors we've never seen that before. That's amazing. We want to know what's going on there and capitalize on that. The final thing that I have, August 1st, we'll send out a calendar invite. We're doing a pickleball tournament. I know. We have no idea what we're doing, but we're going to learn this and do it, and it's going to be amazing. It's at Springs Pickleball, but I will send out more details as we are planning that. I figured there'd be a little more enthusiasm. We'd have some plans. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And finally, thank you, Scott, Angela, everybody that worked really hard on that MOU, looking at our bylaws. Thank you. Thank you for your help on that. And we're very excited to get that agreement in place. Any questions?
Are you going to do any training for pickleball?
Pickleball training? No, that's on you. Thank you. All right, thank you. We'll move to the financial report. Kim Hub.
Close.
But that's okay, sorry. No, you're in on it.
It's good. I've had that happen all my life, so not a big deal. All right, so April financials, I just want to make this pretty quick here. So I just got a couple of pieces to talk to you about. So the revenue of 25 million makes up for 61% of our yearly annual revenue by the end of April. So we have usually 3 months that we get heavy property tax from, and that's February, April, and June. And then shortly after that, just kind of what I'm looking for, just kind of comes in, trickles in. Thank you. So then the expenditures were at 28% of our annual budget. I do anticipate that increasing over the next couple of months as we go into the summer months with the capital, some of the capital purchases going on, as well as trying to fill out the personnel open positions. So that's on page 1.
Page 2 and 3 and 4 kind of go more into detail with the general fund. If you have any questions over that, please feel free to ask. And then on page 5, we have the capital projects fund. And I wanted to mention on here, the resolution that we are bringing to you at the end of this board meeting is going to update the ending fund balance that is showing on there, so we'll not have that negative number any longer. That is just to ensure that you guys understand how the revenues are coming in to cover those expenses. And then the last page is just the self-insurance fund. Any questions? Any questions from the board? Thank you, Kim. And we will move then to the public services report. Tammy Sales.
Okay, any questions in regards to public service report before I point out a couple of things? Okay, I thought this time I would point out all the things the branches reported that they had done. I thought it was really neat and represented all the various areas and how the branches can serve the community in different ways. And how sometimes we measure that in pounds, right? Because we had 73 pounds of food donated and we helped collect 147.5 pounds of drugs for the El Paso County Health Department. So there was that. Yes, yes, it was a partnership with El Paso County Health Department. So, so there was that. And then the other thing I just thought I'd be bringing forward to you as we progress is an update on the ILS implementation project. So we have signed the contract. Collection management, Jenny and Colleen has been meeting with our new vendor coming up and starting to set that timeline and projection of how we're going to do implementation. So you'll be hearing more about that as we move forward. So that is my report. Any questions?
Right, any questions from online?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions about support services reports, communications, facilities, safety and security, human resources, IT, or strategy and innovation? All right, then hearing none, we'll move to the CEO report.
Okay, so like Julie mentioned that we did have quite a bit of meetings this week and I believe last week as well. But one of the, we actually were also privileged to meet one of the assistants of the city council while we were meeting. And when she saw us, she mentioned that, that she got naturalized at 21C Library. And she also shared how special she felt there and that Pikes Peak Library District did such a beautiful job to make that event so memorable. Also, it brought quite a bit of memories because we started that partnership with USCIS in 2012. And it's so nice to see that tradition is continued and there are individuals that come to 21C to get naturalized. Because I remember when I was on my way to Denver years ago, we almost got in a car accident and I was terrified that I would not make it to the interview and then ceremony. So I'm very humbled and privileged to know that PPLD is removing barriers for so many people, not only in our community, but actually there are individuals from Pueblo who come and get naturalized here. Another important fact is that, as you all know, we have Korea Online High School. We had how many graduates?
We have 12 diplomas.
Yes, 12 diplomas. So that's again, second chances that we're talking about that. And also, as you know, and I know that Heidi referred quite a bit to research, how important it is to read, but also that it makes a huge difference in everyone's life when they obtain GED or high school. So wanted to share that. And also, while I wanted Randy Green also apologized that he cannot be here today. I'm very disappointed as well, unfortunately, related to some personal things. That as you see from the packet that Randy and Kim and the whole finance team, whole PPLD received Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. That's been a lot of work, so I wanted to recognize that. And also I wanted to let you know that, as you know, I have this joke with Randy. Please, Timothy, close your ears. That I always ask him, like, I don't know, I know you're so young, but you've been doing this accounting for over 40 years. So, and that's why, as you know, that he will be retiring. And we will be posting the position the second week of June. With that, I will be traveling to Washington, D.C. to attend the GFOA conference. I'm sure all of you are very jealous of me, to meet a lot of accountants and talk about the library district with them. So that's what's happening. And also I would like to take this opportunity and thank Michael Bretner. He has been doing a great job when it comes to facilities, safety and security. We also had a meeting, and I would actually ask him to come and share some of the ways and partnerships that he's been working on to develop with the state, with other community members to assist us with a lot of capital needs that we have. While he was telling some of the needs that we have, you already know. I thought I would let him speak to it as he's the expert and I'm not. But thank you very much for everything that you do for the district. And you've already accomplished quite a bit in a very short period of time.
I am very happy to be up here, Tuna. Thank you so much. All right, so Tuna asked me to come up here today and just talk briefly a little bit about some of the things we've been working on and how some of our internal plans have changed and what we've been doing with some community folks. I would like to echo what Heather has said. When we got the design guide, I was like, great, I'm not gonna have problems sleeping anymore. I can just read that before I go to bed. That is a riveting read. So I want to start out with kind of pointing out that we have taken a large step back and looking at how we're addressing the needs that the facilities are having for a long period of time. And a huge shout out to my predecessor, Gary, looking at all the systems and what he had to do to keep things running is absolutely amazing. I don't know if I'd been in his shoes, I would have been able to keep things running at the level that he did with what he was provided. So he did an amazing job. But as we're looking across the district and all of our end-of-life systems, things that have been deferred for significant periods of time, you know, he kept them running forever, and now we're like, no, they don't run anymore. Now it's your job, Michael. So what we've been looking at is what's included in the facilities master plan that's been identified that has to be done, and then additional projects that have just been deferred for so long that they need to come up. For instance, the material handling system at East that needed to be replaced in 2014. It has been running for over 40 years at this point. The expected life on those is 20. So we've got a really great investment out of that. We tried to replace it in 2014 and have every year since, and have not been able to do so. So we're moving forward on that finally, which sparked a lot of looking at other systems. What is end of life? For instance, our East elevator, which we can no longer get parts for, which is what actually forced us to finally do the renovations on that elevator. And it's not the only one in the district that's like that. Our chillers that are staggeringly undersized for the growth that our facilities have had, but we've never been able to expand them. Chillers that have been out of service for multiple years, some 10 years, with just patches and patches and patches and patches trying to get these up to standard so they'll run. So starting off on that, we said, what can we do with small repairs to patch these up instead of just making them run, but actually do repairs so we can get a little bit more life out of them. And then start looking at some more long-term replacements for these large systems. These are all large purchases. The chiller at 21C, the chiller at Penrose, and the chiller at East all need to be replaced, are all out of expected service life, are all, two of them where we can no longer get parts, and we just continue to patch, right? Boilers at each of our facilities, our building management systems. The new laws that came out with Colorado for LED lighting. So we now can no longer purchase incandescent bulbs, and we need to move forward in converting all of our facilities over that. So lots of large projects that are coming up. So we started thinking a little bit out of the box. How can we make some of these repairs, move forward some of this while being as fiscally responsible as we can? One of the things I'm really excited about is we've been reaching out to local educational facilities, electricians, HVAC, repair companies that teach certificates and things on this and say, hey, you want to learn how to fix broken things? We got lots of broken things, right? And so we're buying parts instead of doing full purchase orders for repairs and bringing those classes in and letting them take our equipment apart, work on our equipment as we're purchasing the parts so they get the experience and they get the hands-on, and it's a win-win for the community and it's a win-win for us. And that's been really exciting for us. We've also been working with the state. So we've reached out to the state. We've had lots of conversations with the Colorado Energy Office, specifically around the energy performance contracting program that's been out since 1997. A lot of government organizations have used this, and it does fall under the Colorado statute. And it's where you can roll energy projects in that you need to do large projects into the savings going forward. So we created an MOU with the state and pick providers who come in and go through all of our systems and say, yes, if you replace all of your incandescent with LED lightings, over the next 8 years, you'll realize so much in savings, and that offsets the cost of the installation. So your installation is paid for with the savings that you have over the next 8 years. That's a real quick win because incandescent lighting is fairly quick turnaround on that cost savings. Things like boilers, chillers, they have more 15 to 20 year payoff, but the program provides the ability to do all of the projects that need to be done and then pay for them through the state with the savings that the district receives on those utility projects. So it's really exciting conversations we're having with them on projects that probably total $5 to $6 million if we look at everything all together that we can't do. We haven't been able to do. We've been piecing together for years and years. The ability to bring a program forward to you at some later point and say, this is what we'd like to do to replace all these systems and actually bring our buildings and systems up to date where we can repair them and move forward and fund that with the savings over the next 15, 20 years, whatever that comes up with. So it's really exciting opportunities that we're looking at on that. Specifically roofing. So when we came in, I'm a very big proponent of buildings not leaking. Something I'm very passionate about in my personal and private life. And when we came in as an initial let's look at every single roof across the building. What needs to be repaired? What have we been putting off? What's leaking? Where is it leaking? What's the damage it's causing? And started addressing those. Callahan was a full replace. We had to replace the entire roof of Callahan. It was installed improperly originally, and so we had to repair that completely. But then look at every other roof we have, and to my surprise, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But it's still about $37,000 worth of repairs on our building's roofs that we need to do to address just the current leaks that we have. So those are the things that we're looking at. How can we wrap, instead of picking things up and saying, okay, we've got 18 different projects and they're all roofing related, let's put these all out. How do we wrap those into larger RFPs? How do we create an RFP to do all of our repairs at one organization? We're working with one company in our bids and roll those into the specific individual projects. So we've been working quite a bit on that as well. And finally, we've been doing a lot of internal training classes. So the facilities team has a lot of talent, a lot of untapped talent. And so we've been saying, how do we take that talent and flourish it throughout the rest of the department and not pay as many invoices? So how do we take our master plumber? And so our team is coming in and they're taking introduction to plumbing and advanced plumbing classes, so we can do more repairs in-house instead of having invoices sent out. Repairs on HVAC units. We have individuals going through HVAC school, and so they come in and they learn their classes, and they come in and then they put on classes here teaching. All right, we learned how to take apart a pump for one of our HVAC units, and now we have a broken pump here, so we're gonna take that apart as well, and they're walking through that. Drywall, painting, electrical, all the skills that our team has, how do we spread that across the team that we have? So we're doing fewer external repairs and repairing more in-house with just buying parts as well. So we've really been focusing on those cost reduction things, rolling other larger repairs into single purchases that we can do and address everything all at once, and then just fixing things. There's historically, priorities have changed. I think historically the district focused a lot. Sorry, I've been sick for like 44 days. Not that I'm counting. Historically, the district had a lot of priorities on, like, we need to do all the programming, and we need to open these new branches, and we need to do this, and we would just kind of let things skim. I remember a lot of conversations then, well, how much longer could we make it work? Instead of, all right, let's fix it and get ourselves 20 more years of service out of it, instead of, well, can we put a bucket under it? Yeah, we can, great, let's do that. So the priority has really shifted to making sure that we're providing safe, updated facilities where everyone is safe inside of them, and we can continue to maintain these systems going forward. And so many of them are end of life. We can't maintain them. Every year's end of life. So we've worked a lot on that. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I did actually ask him, because while we were meeting and he was discussing all of that, that I said, okay, well, do you mind if you're part of my report? So he had about, I don't know, less than 2 hours, maybe. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as you also see, there's the report, quarterly report of our strategic plan, and Pikes Peak Library District staff, they have accomplished a lot, and they're continuing doing an amazing job. So do you have any questions about that? Thank you.
All right, hearing no questions, I did want to, without objection, summarize briefly. We had a special meeting on Monday, and had an executive session just discussing confidential information regarding negotiations and information on facilities and properties. So, all right. We'll move then to business items. Any commentary on the consent items? Okay, then we'll move to new business. And per our new public comment structure, we did have 2 members who signed up for public comment who specifically wanted to speak to new business. So I did want to invite those 2 to move their comments earlier than the regular public comment section. And forgive me if I get your names wrong. I believe it's Catherine Zukas and Lisa Bigelow. So when you come up, Jeremiah will give you more specific instructions, but we do ask that you introduce your name and zip code prior to giving your comment.
To this microphone, that's We'll have a timer on the screen too, be able to monitor.
Okay, well, I'll try. Again, my name is Catherine Chukas. I live in 80919. And I need to bring this up because staff has asked me to bring it up to the board, is that I'd like you to make sure that your written materials about public comment are accurate in all of the materials. As I said to staff, the homepage of ppld.org has a header, and then you click on it, and it says we can comment on any item. That's what it says. It also doesn't say that we can only comment on one item. And again, when you say that this is like city council, I felt like what I was treated about outside at the door does not reflect city council at all in how they work. In city council, Mr. Friedman allows us to sign up for multiple items on the agenda, as well as for items not on the agenda. So if I had comments on a few different things, like I definitely do, I could talk at different points about those. We get to do that at city council. So again, if you're saying you're following city council, that's the assumption I made from the printout on ppld.org on the announcement that that's how it was going to work. And so I'm asking for consistency. And actually for today, because it's the first time, there should have been leniency and a broader definition. And also then on section 7 of the agenda for today, it should say for items not on the business agenda section, if truly this comment is only for business agenda items. So anyway, my comments relate to the resolution and capital funds, and they also relate to item 5C in your agenda, about facilities and different densities on page 20, section 2.2, about outlet size guidance. It's great to see that there's 2 preferred archetypes or architectures for branches going forward. I think now what's needed by the board is to literally map out using GIS software where the ultimate goals are for placement of rural/neighborhood branches and sub-regional branches. And I'd also, when you sort of think about that, where those are going to be, I'd also encourage an understanding and analysis of performance using 2023 and 2024 data to identify if the northwest side of the city of Colorado Springs is warranted to have a sub-regional branch style or a rural/neighborhood branch style, because those are very different in terms of square footage. And then I'd also ask you to go back and look at the facilities master plan to understand if it's important for those 2 styles of archetypes to be rent or own. For building styles. Again, you can see merits for both, right? That maybe one's a rent and one's an own. I don't know. But once that's known, I'd ask you to announce it publicly. Again, once you've done that mapping, once you've sort of thought about what the needs are in the northwest side by volume of usage, announce it publicly. And the reason I say that is, and why do I say that? Is because we who live on the northwest side of the city know the commercial properties there like the back of our hands. And we know their likely price points too. And we all have friends in real estate who can help with providing property information. There's great properties for a few $1 million for the larger size of archetype. And I know that now with the capital funds per this resolution, there's a few more $1 million that are going to capital funds per the resolution. And again, we're happy to help if that's the goal, to put a sub-regional branch style into the northwest side of the city of Colorado Springs, but we need to hear that from you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And next, Lisa Bigelow, 80919. First, it's good to see that you finally are trying to communicate with Liaison Hencham. The disrespect shown at your March meeting is something that I've never seen in my professional career as a public servant by appointees of City Council. Second, I'm here to request your consideration for the 2026 budget process, the reinstatement of Rockland Branch, since it was portrayed to City Council that this PPLD Board of Trustees, as well as your legal representative, are in the process of securing or has not abandoned a new location to serve this part of the city. The current legacy of this Board of Trustees, specifically 5 of you, is the closure of libraries, which I'm sure after the new year, and considerable thought and reflection in the mirror, is something that you can reverse based on new information and a healthy fund balance as shown by the PPLD. You are now in a position to reinstate the Rock River Branch for 2026. Third, the information provided in your January, February, March, and April financial reports is disturbing and does not comply with GAAP or GASB principles for the CIP fund. But looks like you finally figured that out with the proposed actions today. Separate funds, like the CIP fund on page 44 of the April report, or your packet today, are required to be balanced under both GAAP and GASB. Each fund must have a self-balancing set of accounts. So the fact that the April report shows a $3.9 million deficit, this does not comply with your budget policy. But again, you guys finally got that right. You're going to do that tonight and correct that, because that is a mistake. How your CFO or your finance staff or CEO or you approve a resolution that's certified at mill levy for the capital fund and then proceed to budget $0 in property tax revenue. That's truly astounding. Never seen it in my day. Fourth, the budget policy as written is absolutely pathetic. A formal budget policy should include an overview, a budget philosophy, a budget prep process, state statutory requirements, identification of fiscal year, Board of Trustee powers and duties, budget process, an appropriation section, and a budget summary section. I would highly recommend you get some budget expertise or go to a training from GASB or DOLA and revisit your approval of this policy as well as your audit compliance policy. These policies are poorly written and are examples of the lack of good fiduciary principles of PPLD and the Board of Trustees. Finally, again, reinstate the Rock River Branch in your 2026 budget and serve the people of this community as you are appointed to do so. And finally, maybe start planning for that 2026 ballot question.
Because the fallacy of this $500,000, I've researched it, it does not and will not cost the Pikes Peak Library District $500,000 to put a ballot question on. Do your research and figure it out. It's gonna be a lot less. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Now moves to decision item 25-5-1, resolution authorizing allocation of unassigned fund balance to the capital fund. And Kim, I think.
All right, as mentioned in the IA committee meeting, we did bring this forward to bring the 3.9 million from the fund balance over into the CIP to balance out that fund for the year going forward. And as approved by the board, this is not changing the bottom line by any means, it's just moving those funds over. So just an accounting piece. Any questions?
Any questions for board members? Okay. Then can I get a motion and a second so we can move forward with discussion?
Board of Trustees.
Oh, I could be out. Okay, sorry. I move that the Pikes Peak Library District Board of Trustees approve the resolution authorizing allocation of unassigned fund balance to the capital fund as presented.
Do we have a
Second.
Thank you, Erin. Right. Any discussion by the board? I know those of us who are in internal affairs already heard about this and discussed it a bit there. All right. There's no discussion. Any discussion from online? Mr. Taylor, Miss English, anybody? Okay, no, okay. I'm just making sure everyone has a chance if they want. There you go. Okay. All right, well then, if we have no discussion, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. We'll move on to decision item 25-5-2, which I also believe is by Kim. Thank you.
Thank you. So this resolution is just changing the allocation of the mill levy as presented in the December 10th board meeting. And there's no bottom line change. It's just moving that allocation over from the capital fund into the general fund. And this is just for transparency. This was something that Randy had brought out for the transparency piece. It had not been previously provided that way, but we just wanted to make sure that we corrected it. Any questions?
All right, if there are no questions, then I'll ask for a motion and a second so we can discuss. No. Can I get a motion?
This is really hard because I don't have my glasses with me. I move the Pikes Peak Library District Board of Trustees approve the change to original resolution to set mill levies for the 2025 budget as presented.
All right, we have a second. All right, any discussion? Any comments from online? Okay, then if we have no discussion from the board, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, the motion passes. That concludes our new business for the evening, and I believe we have some additional public comments. So Jeremiah, I'll hand that over to you.
I'll go ahead and use the microphone so I don't yell like I usually do. We have 8 people that are signed up for public comment. I'll announce you a few at a time just to save us a little bit of time. So if you could get ready to speak if you're called up in that group. If you didn't notice earlier, there is a timer on the screen, which hopefully will help everybody keep an eye on where we are at. And as the president said, if you could state your name and your zip code before you speak, and I won't start the time until after you've said that and begin your comment. All that said, our first three speakers are Beth Carlson, Jessica Levers, and Craig Johnson.
My name is Beth Carlson, 80919 is my zip code. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and to chide you for the disrespectful letter about Reading at the Rock Library that the district sent to the PPLD patrons. The residents of Northwest Colorado Springs have worked hard to establish this interim library because of your decision to close our neighborhood branch library of more than 30 years. Like many of the residents of our Northwest neighborhoods, I would not have believed a year ago that 1 year later, our beloved library would be closed, kicked out of the PPLD system. Nor would I have believed that myself and so many of my neighbors would have come together to meet the needs of our community, an action that should be applauded, not derided and threatened. To think that in less than 5 months, we found a lovely church willing to offer us their space. We received hundreds of donated books and CDs for individuals of all ages, as well as bookshelves and computers. We developed a volunteer system, and we completed background checks for all our volunteers. That's a testament to the importance of the desire for a library in our community. I still don't know what caused you to decide to close our former branch library. As you sit there, I wonder if I or anyone from our community will ever know. I know it wasn't funding, since we raised more than $70,000 in donations to help cover the lease of the library space, and the landlord expressed his willingness to extend the lease for just 1 year so that we could work with the board to find a solution. I assume someone offended one or more of you on one of your visits to this branch library, although it is hard to fathom who it was, since all the staff and volunteers whom I've known over the past 22 years have always been helpful and respectful. Sadly, instead of dealing with that one incident, you threw out the baby with the bathwater, as my grandmother used to say, and closed the entire branch. What is particularly appalling about the letter are 2 statements near the end. First, and I quote, "Know that PPLD Library is continuing to work for all its patrons throughout El Paso County." Closing our neighborhood library when the community and the landlord expressed a strong desire to work with this board to keep this Northwest branch open is the opposite of the PPLD board working for all of its patrons. This letter then goes on to say, and again I quote, "The library district is thriving as the use of its amenities and participation in its programs, promotional campaigns, and donations continues to increase." One cannot say with a straight face that a library district is thriving when you actually close down a much-used library branch, taking away access to that library and all it provided our community when we raised donations to help it stay open. Since you are continuing to work for all of the patrons of El Paso County, I hope that you will finally provide an update on the location of our new branch library in the very near future. Our community would like to be a part of the PPLD system again. However, until that happens, we have no choice but to work together as a community to meet the needs of Northwest Colorado Springs.
All right, thank you for your comment.
Jessica Levers, my zip code is 80919. All library card holders across the Pikes Peak region recently received an email from the PPLD. One that was written in poor taste and again demonstrated how little regard the PPLD has for the communities that it once served and those that it continues to serve. Words were very carefully chosen in that letter to sow distrust in the Rockrimmon neighborhood. But to borrow a favorite quote, "When they go low, we go high." The PPLD's vision statement is to allow access to resources and opportunities leading to thriving people and connected communities. Reading at the Rock was built out of love for our neighborhood, for our children, for our retirees, for our families to enjoy, to create thriving people and a connected community. We are meeting your vision. We invite you to please do the same. We invite you to visit our library, The library that didn't have to be. This is a library that we had to create because we couldn't keep the Rockrimmon Library open. And this is a library that we hope will be replaced by a permanent PPLD facility. So though I deeply disagree with the decisions and actions made by this Board of Trustees, I thank you for strengthening our community. I thank you for helping to generate positive media attention on this issue and allowing the spotlight to shine so brightly on the Rockrimmon neighborhood. I've never been so proud to be part of our community. But I wonder how you will meet your own vision statement. I urge you to look no further than this table. Distrust and broken communities do not have to be the legacy that you leave behind. Collaborate with us to bring the community of Rockrimmon back into the PPLD system through a more permanent footprint than the bookmobile. That's why we keep showing up. If you want to silence us, if you want us to stop showing up at these meetings, create a better solution with us. Thank you.
For your feedback.
Craig Johnson, 80919. The line out of that previous discussion that I want to point to is thriving. So I have here the KPIs that are in your briefing package every month. And I know over here on the year-to-date totals, we got a whole bunch of funny color that isn't green. And I'm wondering if that demand destruction was what your goal was all along when you closed our library. Because if I look at those numbers, I'd be asking the CEO, the CFO, and this board, what the hell are we going to do to solve this problem? Our head count's down, our unique user count down, our circulation's down. My goodness, I wonder why. I think management would be interested in that. I think that would be the topic of this table. And here we are hearing feel-good stories. No conversation over that page. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And Jeremiah, could you call the next three?
Our next three are Veronica Baker, Carla Powers, and Eric Lundeberg.
Veronica Baker, 80919. After last month's meeting, I had the opportunity to tour the newly renovated Penrose Library. I want to begin by acknowledging the care, consideration, and thoughtfulness that are evident in these improvements. Lowered shelves now improve visibility and accessibility for all patrons. The Chromebook dispenser offers timely and efficient access to technology. The repositioned front desk enhances both staff and patron safety. The children's area has been thoughtfully reimagined. These changes matter, and they reflect a sincere investment in our libraries. I've also seen the same level of care at the renovated Manitou Springs Library. The facility now has ADA compliant bathrooms and elevators, along with revitalized spaces for children and teens. These are all meaningful and well-received improvements. It's clear to me that time, attention, and genuine care have been lovingly directed towards certain libraries and communities. But here's where I struggle. How can such thoughtful investment coexist with what feels like complete disregard for others? It's now well known that the Rockrimmon community's concerns and input were repeatedly dismissed. When we asked for just one more year to explore sustainable options for our library, our requests were ignored. Our efforts as a unified, engaged community were discounted. Tiona, when you said, do the citizens of Manitou Springs have easy access to Penrose Library? They do. It doesn't take that long to get there, but this is their own community, and the city of Manitou Springs worked very closely with us. They were willing to come up with solutions to work with us as patrons. Do you realize how that statement discounts our efforts in Rockrimmon? Our community raised nearly $100,000 in just 2 months during the holiday season to help fund the lease for our library. That's not easy. We also secured over 100 weekly volunteer hours to help with staff shortages. These weren't token gestures. They were real, community-driven solutions. Yet none of them were taken seriously by this board or by district leadership. We're left wondering, what are your priorities? On the east side of town, people are still asking, where is our library? Where is the plan? Where is the progress? Meeting after meeting this month has been modified or canceled, often with little notice and even less explanation. This administration has claimed to be engaging with the public, but emailing disparaging comments about community library efforts or publicly posting attorney information as a response to valid community actions does not reflect transparency or goodwill. It reflects a lack of trust and a lack of willingness to collaborate. We're not here to oppose the success of other branches. We celebrate those wins. But we are here to ask for fairness, for accountability, and most of all, for the kind of thoughtful, respectful partnership that has been extended for other communities but denied to ours. Thank you for your comments.
Oh my gosh. May I pause while someone else does their speech first? My speech just went, hold on just a second. Okay, seriously, could I just pause?
That would be fine. Go ahead.
Eric Lundberg. Not sure why you need our zip codes. I'll let you take them all, guess. So first of all, I don't appreciate the public comments being moved to the end of the meeting. It seems like you're trying to stifle public participation and discourage people from making comments. And by having the public comments at the very end, there's no chance to get a response to our comments from any of you during the meeting. At the very least, you should allow people to sign up to speak up until the public comment period begins. We shouldn't have to show up by 5 just to sign up and then have to wait until the end of the meeting for our turn. So at the last board meeting, Nancy posed some questions to you that I took great interest in, so I wanted to follow up with you about them. What is the progress on finding a new library location in Northwest Colorado Springs? What are the board's priorities and strategies going forward? How can the community work with you on restoring our library? And of particular interest to me at the moment, how does the public know they are being heard by the board? After all, you're managing a great deal of our tax dollars, so there should be a way to not only pose questions and offer input, but get a response in return. What happens to the messages submitted through the website? Do they just go into the void? Is anyone reading those? I sent you a message on April 26th and still have not received any response. We can continue speaking at these meetings, but I'm getting tired of it being a one-sided conversation. Are you ever going to respond to us? The public doesn't feel we're being heard. Even one of your very own liaisons, Nancy, the only liaison who shows up to these meetings and is putting in a great deal of effort to try and work and connect with you, doesn't feel heard. That's not right. You need to do better to connect with your appointing boards and the public. Lastly, I want to end with something more positive. I am so proud of what our community was able to accomplish in such a short amount of time by opening an interim library while we wait for you to correct your mistake. A tremendous amount of volunteer hours went into making it a reality, and I'm so grateful to all the volunteers who helped set it up and are now staffing it. We had an absolutely amazing grand opening on May 10th, which really uplifted my soul. Many people came out in support, including 3 city councilors and our county commissioner. I feel like the tide is turning in our direction and that needed change is coming. So I would urge you not to be afraid to admit you made a mistake in closing our library. It should be very obvious to you by now how deeply the residents of the district love their libraries. There can be no more library closures, and we need the Rockrimmon Library returned to us. Can you commit to that? And I expect a response. I hope so.
Thank you for your feedback and Ms. Powers.
No, I know we're not touching my computer now. Okay. Okay, Carla Powers, 80919. On April 25th, you emailed your library patrons throughout the district regarding our tiny independent library, warning them of our potentially substandard and potentially dangerous library. On Sunday, you posted a lawyer-to-lawyer letter regarding the same matter on your website without our lawyer's knowledge or approval.
The email was derogatory, misleading, and untrue. I have no idea why you wrote it. You seem to feel that it is your responsibility to warn the entire district that we, a tiny independent library run by volunteers and privately funded through donations, might not be as good as you. If you were a pizza business and left the area and we moved in and started another pizza business, it would not be your job to warn your customers that our pizza might not be as good as yours. And if you had questions or concerns, why didn't you just pick up the phone and ask us? 100%. So let's see. Oh, I just lost my thought. 100% of our active volunteers have recently been background checked. Toddler Time and Pause to Reads are common names used throughout the USA to designate. Oh gosh, I'm so bad. Similar programs. PPLD did not think them up. Anyone who is on our library board or in PPLD's upper management should know this. Our program leaders are highly qualified. Our Pause to Read dogs are the same ones as yours. So what have we done after receiving this letter? We have acted in good faith. We have added a non-affiliation statement to all of our signs, both inside and outside the library. Again, acting in good faith, we have changed our name from Rock Ribbon Interlibrary Library to Reading at the Rock Library, and have changed the domain name to match. We have zero problems with people returning Pikes Peak Library District books to our library or confusing Pikes Peak Library District with us. We will continue to use the common nationally known names for our programs. So what was your objective in sending this letter to an email? Because I can sure tell you the result. First, our tiny independent library, was having a hard time getting the word out about that we were open. And you told our target audience that we were, so thank you for that. We had a flurry of press interviews after that, which helped too. Second, you once again offended pretty much every one of your library patrons in Northwest Colorado Springs. Our newsletter reaches about 760 families at this time, and about 90 of them have signed up to volunteer at our library. We're a community that knows each other, and when you call something that we're working on together as shoddy, you are not making friends with anyone in our area. People know me, and they know others in our organization. People are cheering us on and want to help. It's like you are pulling the little engine that could. It is not a good look and is only hurting you as far as I can tell.
Thank you for your comment. Chairman.
I don't hear my head. Sorry. The final two signups are Kat Gale and Jacob Ward.
Hello, I'm Kat Gale. I'm a library user, a library lover, and the chief legal counsel of Integrity Matters. I'm thrilled that you sorted out the air conditioning here at Penrose, though I'm troubled that attending any kind of a PPLD meeting is virtually the same odds as successfully fighting the coin in a shell game in New York City, finding Waldo. When Benjamin Franklin started the public library system, the intent was to improve the level of conversation by giving everyone access to information. A library is like Aladdin's cave. Treasures are found in the pages of books, skills found in classes, new knowledge gleaned from speakers and performers. I love libraries. The First Amendment, though, gives us the right as individuals to petition the government for grievances. You are government. You're appointed by elected officials. And yet you've gone out of your way to chill free speech and to make it difficult as a citizen to have our needs met and to have you listen. I believe that this board has reversed the intent of libraries, especially the PPLD. When I got that email, because yes, I'm a PPLD card user, that went to all of the library district, including people who had once been members of the library district who had moved away. This is what happens with military families. I was getting calls from around the United States about this den of iniquity that we dare to call an interim library. I will read the disingenuous response that you put up when you finally took down the main statement. PPLD previously raised concerns regarding potential confusion. No one was confused. As the library established by COS reads, we're pleased that steps are now being taken to address those concerns. The PPLD didn't take steps. They attacked, they disparaged, and they shamed. How gracious of PPLD to welcome the opportunity to move forward after you secretly killed off our library, violated the Sunshine Law for decades, and then attacked the very people who stepped up to serve the community that you abandoned. We are not the villain for daring to offer books and story time, while PPLD, the self-appointed guardian of clarity, was busy behind closed doors, redefining transparency as none of your business. If anyone's confused, it's because PPLD turned public service into performance art and now wants applause for letting someone else do their work. Kudos to Coast Reads. You did it. Score?
Hey guys. Jacob Ward, representing Pikes Peak Library Workers United, our workers union here at PPLD, 80905 South Side. So today this room is not as hot as last month, if any of you remember. That was pretty rough. Huge shout out to the Penrose facilities team. They've been doing great work with limited resources, especially DQ, the supervisor here. He's been keeping everyone in the loop with regular emails, so we know like what the actual situation is. He's been fantastic. Also, Michael Brantner, you shared some really innovative ideas and community connections that you're building, and that cost saving is hugely appreciated, and I hope it all pays off. So despite that, we do need the big changes with the HVAC system, and any pursuit of funding for that or allocation of resources would be appreciated and improve both the health and morale of staff. Even with these improvements, and if we had more funding, our two demands that I stated last month about regulations and paid time off usage are still justified and require examination and discussion. So we've had temps above 83 degrees for hours at service points in this building, and in patron seating areas, it's exceeded 85. Next door in the hall, temperatures have struggled to stay above 60 degrees sometimes at the same time. Again, you're starting to address it, but our regulations here state that if a building is below 60 degrees or above 90 degrees for 3 hours, then we can close the building. 3 hours in 90-degree heat would cause hospital visits for some staff. One of our coworkers has already fainted because of the heat last month. So the two demands, one, we need a rework on that policy. 60 and 90 degrees are kind of just untenable and unreasonable. We need that threshold to change, especially the timing. 3 hours is too long of a time to stay in those temperatures when we're hired to work in a standard office environment. So the closing guidelines should be changed to match those of like OSHA recommendations, which theirs are 68 to 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and the closings need to be called after less than 2 hours of difficult conditions. Second demand is an alteration to how PTO with unexpected closure works. So currently, if we call out prior to an unexpected closure, we have to use our personal paid time off for that whole time, including the part where the closure happens. So for an example, there was a snow day a few months ago. We had a delay, so we all arrived at 10:30 that day. And then within 20 minutes, they called a closure of the buildings. The way the policy is written, if someone had called off for fear of their own health to come in on a day that was bad enough that we closed, they would have to use their paid time off for that whole shift. And the unexpected closure time that we normally get compensated would not go to us for the whole shift. So that is, again, unreasonable. So that needs to change in clear terms. If worker calls off or leaves early due to an issue that ends up closing the building, they should be compensated for that PTO used during the unexpected closure. Yeah, thank you for the work towards this, and please pursue more funding.
I believe that concludes our public comment for tonight. So are there any, I don't think there are any more discussion items from the board. So without objection, I'll go ahead and adjourn us at 7:38 p.m.